bar is kind of loud.
How are you doing? Good?
Never stop.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, hello. So sorry.
This issue on the case. We're going to see a signpost south. We're walking from the metro.
I will start. Okay.
All right, we're going to start, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the February ANC6 meeting. Welcome to our guests who are coming here to present.
We at least need the primary.
I'm going to take roll call.
601, 602, present. 603, 604,
Here.
They hauled it all.
605,
Came back.
here, 606, 607.
Yeah.
Okay. And so anyone who comes up before us to speak, just say your name clearly and speak loudly. We don't have any more microphones here, and our secretary, who's normally recording, is going to take notes from the video. So she needs to be able to hear you. So, okay, so just take note of that. Okay, so everyone's got the agenda?
Yes.
Is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay. So we remove the 7th Street project. That'll be next month.
Right.
Okay. Someone make a motion?
I move that AAC approve the agenda. If I can get a second.
Second?
Okay, so Frank moved and Michael seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we're gonna have the police first, so 1D. Who's here for 1D? Okay, great. Step up.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Sergeant Bernard Grimsley from the 1st District. I'm one of the new sergeants there on 102 PSA. I know normally Captain Duro or Lieutenant Anneman does this, so hopefully I can make this painless so you guys don't miss him too much. So, brief overview. The crime stats for the past 30 days are similar to last year's around the same time. We have seen an uptick in property crimes, theft from autos. So one thing you definitely let people know is to make sure you take valuables out of your vehicle. Don't leave things where people can easily see them. That's a quick crime opportunity. A couple other things we have a couple of gun recoveries out of 900 block of New Jersey Avenue Northwest and the 1200 block of North Capitol Street Northwest. Both subjects were arrested and got some guns and ammo off of them as well. And for those who want to get involved in the listserv with the 1st District, go to mpdc.dc.gov. And the Nextdoor app, the chief and the commander are on that, and I encourage anyone to get involved. Any questions for me? That's all I got.
Karen, any questions?
No, not at this time.
Okay, well, that was easy this month. So. Great.
Until next week.
Okay, all right. Captain Kim.
Commissioner, you know nobody ever has questions for one day. You know that, right? All right, you save them all for you.
That's right, now for 3D.
All right, good evening, folks. I'm Captain Honkin with the 3rd District. I'm one of the supervisors that includes this area, PSA 306 and 308. I have Lieutenant Ross with me. He's one of our supervisors as well. And Sergeant Trestry there in the back, he's one of the supervisors of PSA 307. All right, I'll start out with some quick stats. We started off really good. We had one serious bad incident, unfortunately. On January 8th, we did have a homicide right in front of 1301 7th Street Northwest around 11:30 p.m. We had an adult male that was struck by gunfire and succumbed to his injuries there. Our homicide division is currently investigating that. They were working some leads, and we have some videos that we did obtain for that case, since that is a ongoing investigation. That's about what I can say in terms of that. I can say that it does not appear that it was random, that the individual was targeted. With that, on 7th Street, some of the work that we're doing on that area, especially with the violence there, and I know a lot of you're concerned with the narcotics activity. So on January 4th, actually 5 days before, or 3 days, I'm sorry, before that homicide, right in front of that building, 1301 7th Street, we did recover a 9mm handgun. And then on the 9th, our units are patrolling right around 8th and O area. They did conduct a traffic stop on the vehicle. We actually stopped it at a 1400 block at 11th Street, and recovered from that was a .40 caliber handgun and some narcotics. So the person was also arrested for distribution of drugs, narcotics. And then on the 19th of January, 1800 block at 8th Street, we responded for sounds of gunshots. Unfortunately, we weren't able to arrest anyone, but we did locate the handgun. It was a 9mm handgun there. And then on the 28th, this was really good work by our specialized division, right in the 1700 block of 7th Street. We arrested 3 individuals. Recovered from those individuals were 2 .40 caliber handguns and a pretty substantial amount of drugs. They were also charged with distribution. And just about an hour ago, not even, the same specialized units are in the area and arrested 2 individuals right at 8th and O for distribution of drugs. Again, we did start the year pretty well. We're going in the right direction. We really hope to keep this going here. PSA 306, which this area covers a little sliver of that. A violent crime, which we're very happy to report. Year-to-date comparison, we are down 88% in violent crime. PSA 307, down 50%. And then PSA 308, which is just west of 7th Street, east of 7th Street, down 44%. And then we were really, last year and also going into this year, trying to get a hold on the theft from autos, especially with all the, I know 1D mentioned it, with all the visitors that we had coming to the area and parking and leaving items in the area. We're really trying to educate our visitors and trying to stop those property crimes. I am happy to report in PSA 306, a 27% decrease in theft from autos, actually a 40% decrease in PSA 307, and then a 21% decrease in PSA 308. That's it for 3D. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So that percentage for 308, that was just for the car theft or just crime in general? The percentage, yeah.
Specifically, the last ones I did there were for theft from autos.
So I feel it's every day a constituent contacts me about their car window being broken, and you're well aware of that.
I am, yeah.
So I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, I feel like, I've asked in the past to have a beat cop in our, in 6004, additional presence. I mean, sometimes we get a cop car, most times we don't.
Yeah.
And then, that block of L Street behind 655 New York Avenue
Exactly.
is rampant, and then by Dunbar High School, it's just,
I
I
think
have to
that-
say, almost, because
Yeah.
here's the thing, I don't think they call the police all the time. I think
Yeah.
they just kind of say, screw it, and everyone's well aware, but I don't want them to say, screw it. I
No,
want
absolutely
them
not.
to-
And yeah, go ahead.
But we need some additional presence, because it's just, it's literally every day.
And I agree with you, and I'm responsive. When I got those emails with the L Street, we went down there, our lieutenant went down there as well. And I haven't, correct me if I'm wrong, since then, I haven't seen a whole lot of activity with theft from autos in that area, unless they're just contacting
just-
you.
Or
Yeah.
they're just not contacting, I don't know.
Yeah, then
I
they
think
need
just
to
expect it, yeah.
contact and report it. Otherwise, I know you're getting the calls, and obviously that's what it seems like. Our just from these numbers, our numbers are down. So we hope to continue that.
Okay, so I'll just tell them to keep calling you guys, because
Absolutely.
I don't see it. so.
We have a question in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Hi, yes, you were talking, I'd like to go back to shootings, because I think that's a huge problem.
Sure.
And you talked about the one on the 22nd, or the 28th.
Yep.
And on the 22nd, a bullet entered our home. And we had somebody come by, pick up the bullet, haven't heard anything from anybody. We went to the town hall last year. We're talking about all these strategies that were going to happen, police would be engaged, and they are, and then it tapers off. And when they are engaged, they're actually, in my experience, more often than not, staring at their telephones instead of actually being engaged. So now the violence has entered my house.
What was the last part?
The violence has now entered our home. I think I'd like to know what the strategy is, because we just keep hearing these things, and the city's going in the wrong direction.
And I'm very sorry that
You're
happened.
saying it's going the right
Can you
direction.
can you give me a block? I don't want to put your address out there. What?
1600 block of Fifth Street.
Okay. I know you've experienced that, and all I can say is we're addressing it. We've had our deployments change to address that, and what I can tell you is I gave you these stats. We are recovering the guns. We are making the arrests. Right now, as of January, I believe 28th is the latest I could do the stats. I think just 3D patrol units alone recovered 11 handguns, or 11 people that were arrested, actually more handguns than that. And then our specialized division has also recovered guns in the 3rd district as well. Just the last one I mentioned on the 1700 block, 2 handguns there. And we recovered, on 1500 block of North Capitol the other day, 2 guns. And then 1700 block of North Capitol, 1 gun. I don't have the stats closer to that area with me now, but we are getting it. And I know I've responded to the meetings, and other officials have responded. One of the things that my commander likes to say is, one thing that MPD is good at is making arrests. I'll give you an example. I know in one area, I went to another meeting last night, and that neighborhood is really concerned with drug activity. And we hear the same thing. Hey, we don't see you guys. Nobody's out here. These guys are open drug market. And trust me, I know sometimes in certain areas we do have to do a better job, but we do make arrests. And the stat that I took over there yesterday was we did it right where we were getting the complaints, right at North Capitol and Pete. We drew a circle, a 500-foot circle. It's a pretty small area, and just in that circle, we arrested 100 people within the past year. That's a pretty small circle to arrest 100 people in, and 46 of them were for narcotics. And my frustration when I talk about these, arrests and stats is that, yes, some of them are, nonviolent possession of drugs or some dealing. Some of these people, yes, could they be held longer and held more responsible for their crimes? Yes, but a lot of them, with the court system, they're just getting out. Whether that's right or wrong, I think society has to, come together with that, and especially when these subjects get out, they have to have some sort of assistance, whether it be, getting them back on the right track. I know the city and the mayor's office is trying to assist with doing that. So the reason I bring that up is we do, and honestly, we can do a better job of it, but we do make these gun arrests. We're making them every day. We're trying our best, and we ask you guys, and I say this in every meeting too, get involved. And just like, even for theft from autos, call us. You're not bothering us. Call 911. If you see suspicious behavior, please call. And I always say, my information is on the website, Captain Han Kim. You just go to the 3rd District website, and all of my information is on there. If you have anything to give me, and give me specifics, and I ask anybody who's had contact with him, I'm very responsive. I respond to you. I get our specialized units out there. When someone complains about narcotics or guns, I get that to the right people so we can investigate those things. So please do so. And when you do that, I ask that you give very specific information, time of day, when it's happening, what these individuals are driving, what they're wearing, so we can do that. It's difficult for our patrol units, the men and women that you see out there every day on patrol. It's difficult for them to do those types of investigations because all throughout the night or day, they're answering 911 calls, and they have a specific job in doing that. So it's difficult for them to do long-term investigations. So if you can give me those informations, I know, especially with your incident, that's very frustrating. No one should have a bullet coming into their home. So, but I want to assure you.
So I guess as a follow-up,
Yes.
what the matters that you're bringing up are kind of what I heard at the town hall.
Sure.
Metropolitan Police doesn't seem very pleased with the city leadership. It seems to have a revolving door on certain crimes for whatever reason. what are we supposed to do? You guys don't have all the resources, the leadership doesn't seem like it's doing anything.
I don't want to say that MPD has a problem with the leadership. It's just that I think everyone has to get involved in it. You know, it really is a problem that, you know, I think everyone needs to sit down. We say these every time in these meetings. You know, solutions are tough. I mean, how do we address some of these, you know, repeat offenders that when they get arrested, they're right back, you know, on the street. Some of these people, I can tell you, the arrest that we made on the 1700 block of 7th Street with the 2 guns there and large amount of drugs, I knew, as soon as I saw the names that came across my desk, I know those gentlemen like the back of my head. I mean, these are not new offenders. These are not people that are just popping up, you know, and doing these things. So that's where some of my frustration comes. I don't want to say it's with the leadership or, you know, they're not, you know, doing it. It's just a tough situation overall. How do we solve that problem? That's the key.
Do the commissioners have questions, Alex?
Thank you for the positive news on the number of arrests that your team has been able to make recently. I think it would be helpful for our commission to issue some victim and community impact statements related to some of those repeat arrests. So if you could share, you know, that information, or have the U.S. Attorney's Office, you know, share that. I think that's something that we definitely can do to try to see if we can get a little more time.
Absolutely.
You know,
And that's
from those
our
arrests.
attorney, LaRue. Sorry, that's,
Anita Logan.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but let's make sure that we close the loop on that, you know, so we can try to play a role in trying to address some of the frustration that all of us are feeling about what seems like a revolving door at times.
Sure.
I also wanted to say that while it's obviously impossible for your officers to be everywhere that we'd like them to be, I want to acknowledge the special attention that's been given to the 8th and O and 8th and N area, especially single out Sergeant Terrestri and his team. I've seen them. My office is on the 800 block of N Street, so I've seen them on foot on a number of occasions in the evening. I've seen, you know, squad cars, you know, parked in that parking lot at 8th and O, and I think that visibility and the number of arrests that you've been able to make there is a tribute to the hard work on behalf of your team. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Captain, I do want to thank you for the work you have done thus far. I really do appreciate it, the overall communication. I do want to put Glick Court on your radar.
Okay.
There is a drug presence in that alley space. A lot of my constituents let me know the things going on in that alley. So if you can have some officers drive through. We even had this past weekend, 4 teenagers were trying to actually climb over a fence to get inside the property to steal packages.
Okay.
Officer did, you know, arrive, but of course by the time they get there, they're gone.
Okay.
But if we could just have a presence in that Glick Court area.
And we've had, and thank you, we've had issues there in the past, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dr. Oye. I'm actually a commissioner in Southeast DC. One thing I wanted to talk about was the camera rebate program.
Yes.
So one thing I did with my neighborhood, I knocked on pretty much every door and got almost 50% of my houses around me doing a rebate program. And that actually helped reduce the crime a lot. How common and popular is it in this area?
So thank you for that. And it is, and we did the same thing. I mean, I did it myself, walked around the neighborhoods and passed out door knockers and handing them out. I don't have it with me today, but normally to these meetings, I bring pamphlets and information for the rebates. So I know just from reaching out to folks after we get some sort of offense that happens, and our detectives, our officers will knock on doors to see if they have cameras, and it's been very successful. And I say this in every meeting. Boy, we've had many crimes that were either solved or gotten great leads because of those cameras that were those Nest cameras, Ring cameras, and those are pretty high quality. So, yeah.
There's another question though. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
The incident that we were talking about happened on a rainy night in the middle of winter. And it started from what the responding officer said, casings found at 5th and N, and then they made their way all the way up to 5th and Q. So this wasn't something that was just this was going through the neighborhood. In light of the fact that this is a very rainy night in the middle of winter, what happens on a very nice night in July? And what's the strategy to try to go and prevent something like this, which is basically, the only way I can imagine is a road gunfight through our neighborhood?
Sure. It's, you know, it always, those things stem from something, right? I mean, it's somebody having a beef with somebody. And what we find, you know, almost in every instance, it's just a silly beef. I mean, it can be anything from somebody said something they didn't like, and especially with social media. It's something, they post something, this neighborhood posts something about this neighborhood. So in those instances, we have our intel units that monitor those to get ahead of that. And some of the violence, a lot of the violence comes from drug activity. Individuals dealing drugs, someone else wants to come into the area, or that neighborhood doesn't want that person in there. So, you know, we start from the beginning. As Commissioner said, we just can't be everywhere all the time. And I'll give you an example. The shooting that occurred, the homicide that occurred in the 1300 block of 7th Street in January, our officers were at the 1400 block of 7th Street. That's literally a block away when that shooting happened. Our officers actually heard the gunshots, responded immediately, and actually rendered aid to that person. So I say that we're trying our best. Obviously, you know, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we, you know, do our, you know, due diligence to look at the stats, to look at the areas that where we think, you know, we need to give attention at that time. And again, those can change because deployments change. So I know it's the answer you don't want to hear. I can't tell you, you know, specifically, hey, we're going to be in that block. It's ever changing because we have to look at it at the time when these crimes are the area that need the attention. I'll give you an example. With that homicide that occurred there, we did get some information that, hey, you know, this person was targeted, so we don't want somebody else coming in that area. So we got together with Sergeant Terrestri's PSA and my PSA because 7th Street cuts the line there. So in order to address that, we have every roll call, we have an officer from that PSA and my PSA actually grouped together to actually patrol that area. And that can change in the future too. It goes to another area. So I can't give you specifically, hey, we're gonna be here, we're gonna be there, but we're doing our best. We look at everything. We look at, like I said, we have a crime analysis person that sends us information every day. I look at it every day. The commander looks at it every day. And then we have to, on basis of the information that we get, deploy, you know, make deployment of our officers to the best of our ability. And I know it's frustrating. I speak to people, you know, you don't want, you know, you're just minding your own business, either in your vehicle, in your car, you're walking, and, you know, bullets are flying. It's just, you know, it's tough. So I assure you, we're trying our best. Yes, sir.
Maybe it's a silly question, but do we know where the vendors are from and where the clients are from? Are they even from this area, or are they coming to this area to buy and sell, and then they go home like they leave the supermarket?
Mostly the dealers are within the area, and that's the beef. It's I mean, since beginning of time, it's, you know, each neighborhood usually has, you know, a group, usually younger individuals that put a stake on that neighborhood. And that's what happens when somebody else comes from another place and tries to do that, and that's when the beef starts. So usually we find that the dealers are usually within the area that they're dealing from. And like I said, we make multiple arrests of those individuals. And, you know, like I said, whether it's right or wrong, they serve their time. And obviously you can't put people away forever. I mean, it has to fit the crime, right? As far as people buying drugs, that can vary. Some users that, you know, have been at it for a long time, they're usually from the area. Some people find out and drive in, so that can vary.
Okay, great. Erica, thank you, Captain Kim. I
Okay,
appreciate
great.
your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right.
I'm sure.
I know.
Okay. Okay, so we have Pepco next. Step up, Pepco. This is is about the Mount Vernon substation, Commissioner Rogers' area and transparency. I work for Pepco, so I know Trevorrow Culpepper. Go ahead, Trevorrow, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I will be brief. Hello, everybody. My name is Trevorrow Culpepper with
Pick up the
Pepco.
floor, too.
Okay. Hello, my name is Trevorrow Culpepper with Pepco. I'm here with my colleague Jamal Jordan, who you all might have known as a past staffer with Councilmember Charles Allen's office. He's now at Pepco working with us on the Capital Grid project. We came before the ANC last year to give you a brief update on the project, and wanted to make sure that everyone was aware. First and foremost, the project is a huge infrastructure project where we're going to be actually upgrading 2 existing substations in the District of Columbia, and also building an additional substation here as well, the Mount Vernon substation, which will be actually in this ANC. Part of the project does involve us building a 10-mile transmission line to network the entire system, and the purpose of us doing that is to upgrade aging infrastructure, increase the capacity, and to network the side of the system that actually transports or imports power to your home. And wanted to share with you that the commission did fully approve the project in its entirety. They looked at the project in 2 parts. One portion they approved August 2019. That included the existing substations that we plan on upgrading with this project, in addition to the transmission line. And just this December, the Public Service Commission did approve the construction of the Mount Vernon substation, which is a part of this project. It's located, the facility will be located at the corner of 1st and K Street. We won't have any construction that will be starting on the substation anytime soon. We expect for some construction for the substation to start later in the year or possibly early into next year. But what you can anticipate is the transmission line construction. The transmission line that is associated with this project will go past T Street. Will start in this particular area. It will be on T Street, starting from 16th all the way down to Florida, making a past Howard Theater, coming onto Florida Avenue, then going south on New Jersey, and then making a left on P Street, and then south on 1st Street near Dunbar, all the way down to 1st and K. We have procured a contractor to start the construction of the transmission line. It will be CW and Sons who will be doing that for us. And what you can see in the area, we're currently getting a master schedule of when they're actually starting to install certain aspects of the transmission line, mainly the manholes. We expect for some activity on that to start this year, and we're putting together a schedule to advise neighbors of when that construction will happen. Part of our outreach program with this project, we have a dedicated phone line, email address, as well as a website for the project to keep residents updated every step of the way. Once we have a better sense of the schedule in terms of the construction of the transmission line, you will receive a notice in the mail. At least 30 days is our hope prior to that construction taking place. And then you can also view where construction is taking place throughout the city on this project on the Capital Grid website, which is www.pepco.com/capgrid. And that's all the updates that I have at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, that's a question. Paul, how is that construction gonna go all the way down to in front of Savannah?
Yes, so the construction as far as with the transmission line will start in this area going down T Street Northwest. It's gonna pass the Howard Theater and then make a right onto Florida Avenue down to New Jersey. And then the transmission line will make a left on P Street, so that's near Dunbar High School. It will make a right on 1st Street, travel all the way down 1st Street, passing up what was once Sursum Quarter, and then Savannah on K as well. So that's really the activity and construction that will take place in this area with the transmission line.
I need to know about the parking. When that construction starts, the parking will be out.
Yes, so when we,
So we need to know that in advance, we need to get with my manager, that he can notify when it's gonna be a problem with the construction area. Also, the people wanna know where they're gonna park. They wanna know what the Pepco can provide them parking spaces.
right, and unfortunately, you know, this is something that we've heard not only in this area, but also in other areas where parking is challenged, particularly Ward 1. And unfortunately, we won't be able to provide or accommodate more parking. What we will do is, the construction for the transmission line will be during the daytime. So construction hours will be between 9:30 to about 4:30, about 4 o'clock. And then at that time, the crews will still plate the work zone at night. We will have for this project, a ombudsman we expanded our team specifically for this project, where we're requiring the ombudsman to have, someone, you know, as the ombudsman or community relations representative, after hours, if there are any steel plate issues, that, you know, you experience, there is a number to call, to fix that right away. But unfortunately with the parking, it will be something that we will have to take during those daytime hours, and return parking after hours.
Do you have handouts for the commissioners?
Yes, I do. I do have a fact sheet which has the, capital grid, or the, specific Mount Vernon. But I can also make sure to send you some information on the, overview, which has, you know, the entire project is in its entirety, as well as, some, other information about the project.
Can you give me that website again?
Oh, yes, the website is www.pepco.com/capgrid. And then there's also an interactive map, which actually will show, where we'll continue to have public meetings, and then where the construction will take place, and that is www.capgrid.net.
So, but literally, do you have handouts for the commission?
Oh, yes, oh, I'm sorry, oh, yes, I do. Oh, my bad. Oh, yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
Commissioner Quadro, Troy's actually sent out an email to the commissioners earlier, but we can make sure that information gets back out to you, just going over the project.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
and-
When is it supposed to start?
So the construction of the substation itself, it is not expected to start until later this year, potentially early next year, Q1. We haven't procured a contractor at all to start that construction. We have procured a contractor to start